This year, GCSE and A-Level exams were cancelled due to coronavirus. The government's alternative meant that students' grades were submitted by their teachers and then put through an algorithm that changed the grades based on a school's past performance, unfairly punishing students from disadvantaged areas. I was one of the lucky ones. Although my grades were moderated down, I still met my offer for university. Many didn't. And even though the government's now done a U-turn and said that students will receive their original teacher predictions, the struggle is certainly not over for the thousands of students who were rejected from their universities. Another Year 13 student, Olivia from Birstall, had this to say. On results day I received A-star AAC. Obviously these results are good, however I was predicted by my teachers, who went through a rigorous marking process, A-star AAA. The C, which I received in politics, was marked down 2 grades from my teacher's prediction of an A. Not only does this offend the professionalism of thousands of teachers across the country, it illustrates the absurd process of standardisation used by Ofqual. Due to a computer algorithm, I now have lost my place at Durham University, where I needed AAB, something I would have normally achieved. I am not an anomaly, and we are not just numbers in a computer system. This is the lives of young people.
It's no secret, really, that the government's response to the pandemic in general can be seen as anything from incompetent to genuinely evil. And in the midst of all of that bedlam, I really never had high expectations for my GCSE results. What I did have for a while was a lifeline in the form of the teacher predictions. I resigned myself quite early on to the fact that it was all out of my hands. What I wanted more than anything was the results themselves. I just wanted to know where I stood and what options were available to me, and of course this wish wasn't granted. Government spent ages making it very clear that the results day would remain immutable, 20th of August, as it had always been. In any other year, those 4 or so months would have been spent marking and moderating hundreds and thousands of exam papers. What I wanted to know was what was being done this year. For us, at least, it was 4 months of uncertainty, 4 months of anxiety and confusion, 4 months in which our futures were perpetually in flux, and for that I feel as if we deserved some closure. Again, of course, this was never granted to us. The lifeline was ripped away, and in the weeks leading up to results day it became increasingly obvious that, as we really should have known, the government had no idea what they were doing.
This week we've seen students returning to school, and many are predicting they'll be months behind where they need to be. On top of this, we've seen COVID cases rise across many European countries, including isolated pockets here in the UK. We have to face the probability that COVID might be here for the foreseeable future, and that it will continue to impact the progress of countless students. One thing to take away from this fiasco, however, is that when we come together, when we organise, when we speak out, we have the power to change policy. I'm here to tell you that this issue isn't solved entirely. Many have lost their placements, their opportunities, all for no fault of their own, putting them through unimaginable stress and grief. We cannot allow this to happen again.
A really obvious issue that's been highlighted by the A-level crisis is the unavoidable amount of classism that is so inherent within our government. I think that the Conservative government in particular has lost a huge number of votes from my generation of people who will never forget the injustice that they faced at the hand of the government. It's heart-wrenching to know that just because someone is from a low-income area, that they are not as entitled to a good grade as someone who's from a high-income area. We already have private education, which gives some kids a head start. What we definitely didn't need was an algorithm that decided grades based on social class.
Labour are now calling for the upcoming summer exams to be delayed, helping to reclaim lost time, as well as calls to ensure that schools have the right equipment, advice and support from government to accommodate for COVID and ensure that in the next time around, millions of students across the country don't have their lives turned upside down. That's why I'm asking you to keep fighting, keep speaking out, so that we can learn from the past and get it right this time.